Wir wollen heute ein paar neue Ansätze zeigen, wie man Geld verdienen kann. Es hat sich viel getan seit dem letzten Jahr auf dem Medienmarkt. Es gibt Experimente, es gibt neue Formen davon, wie man ja auch für Qualitätsjournalismus Geld verdienen kann. Bitte ganz kurz, wenn Sie Ihre Plätze wieder einnehmen. Wir sind auf der Zielgeraden. Es geht gleich weiter. Bitte, wenn Sie sich setzen könnten. Hallo. Okay. Ja. Ihr seht schon die Namen, die hier aufgebaut werden. Ich mache noch ein paar kurze Durchsagen. Wir haben jetzt noch mal ein bisschen Zeit für Diskussion. Das heißt bitte, New Publishing ist euer Hashtag, New Publishing. Und wie Slido funktioniert, habt ihr gerade gesehen. Der Chef von BILD Digital ist auch schon da. Julian Reichelt, wunderbar. Ich glaube, jetzt können wir anfangen. Bitte alle, die noch stehen, bitte und Alexander. Raus oder rein? Aber jetzt ist Ruhe. Genau. Ja, alles klar. Du kannst das auf Twitter nachlesen. Super. Alles klar. So, jetzt wollen wir aber endlich starten. Geld verdienen im Netz. Es passieren gerade wirklich fast täglich neue Experimente und es passieren auch Dinge, die vielleicht vor 1 oder vor 2 Jahren so noch nicht vorherzusehen waren. Die Süddeutsche Zeitung zum Beispiel, die hat jetzt zum Beispiel auch dicht gemacht. Sie hat gesagt, wenn ihr in Deutschland weiterhin unseren Content lesen wollt, dann müsst ihr eure Adblocker ausschalten. Adblocker sind in Deutschland sehr, sehr beliebt. Ja? Wir haben es ja sonst nicht so mit der Technik, aber Adblocker, das haben wir sehr, sehr schnell gelernt. Das muss Gründe haben und warum Adblocker bei uns so gut funktionieren, das werden wir jetzt gleich erfahren. Wir haben in unserem ersten Panel, und das geht jetzt Schlag auf Schlag, bitte bleiben Sie also sitzen. Wir hören jetzt vier Präsentationen und danach wird diskutiert. Bitte begrüßen Sie die Chefin von Public Affairs von Adblock Plus, Eyeo. Hier ist Laura Dornheim.
Okay, I was prepared to do this in English. Can we do a quick hands up, down, English, German, English?
Deutsch.
English. I guess there's more people that understand English than German if they don't speak German. Welcome. Thanks for staying for so long to talk about this very interesting topic. I'll give you a very short overview about Adblock Plus and our acceptable ads program. Closer, further away?
I think we just do this.
Okay, good. And hopefully maybe clear some misunderstandings. How does an ad blocker work in general? It's pretty easy. With an ad blocker installed in your browser, you receive the content but not the ads. So what are we blocking? We block pop-ups, we block pop-unders, we block flash ad players, we block these ads that just play sound in some tab and you don't know where. We block malvertising, we block ads that track you. We also block these hot Chinese girls that want to become your new best girlfriend. Some details about us in particular, Adblock Plus. Adblock Plus was started as an open source project. It is still open source, but it's not a hobby anymore. It's a veritable company. It's a very successful German startup, actually. We are still supported by about 200 volunteers in the open source community, and we are very proud to say that we're the most popular browser add-on worldwide. Our ad blocker does block most ads, however, we do let through some acceptable ads. I'll talk about that in a second. Adblock Plus is available for most, or basically all, desktop browsers, and we have different mobile versions. Numbers. We have over 130 million monthly active users. By now, we've been downloaded over 500 million times and still growing at a rate of about 3 million downloads per week. Talking about our user base, we have almost twice as many monthly active users as Netflix. We have more people that use us in one given month than LinkedIn. So just to give you some ideas about on how many computers we are installed. But it's not just we that are growing, it's ad blocking in total. So there's a dozen different ad blockers out there. You might heard maybe about uBlock, I think is the second most popular. There's also one that's called Adblock without the plus. I get paid from Adblock Plus, but they do very similar things, and they're all growing. So this is a report done by Adobe and Pagefare. So by beginning of last year, 180 million people worldwide had ad blockers installed, and they say ad blocking is growing by about 40% every year. So that's quite major. And of course, while we are very proud about these numbers and it's a huge success for us, we also see it makes life difficult for some other people, most importantly publishers and content creators in a broader sense. So when Adblock Plus went from being a hobby project to a business, we were thinking about how it might be possible to facilitate a compromise between users that are so annoyed by these ads that just play sound, by these ads that really clutter your whole site and you don't even know what you're reading anymore, by ads that maybe put viruses on your computer, or by hot Asian girlfriends. So we came up with this idea about acceptable ads. Acceptable ads means that we do block basically 99% of advertising, but we have a set of criteria. And if you say, okay, my advertising, my banner meets these criteria, you can get on our whitelist. So this is really the only ad blocker that kind of facilitates a new dialogue between publishers and ad blocking users. These criteria are very strict. They have been transparent from the very beginning on. We've developed them together with users and with volunteers that work on the Adblock extension, and we're going to hand them over to a completely independent committee soon. We do whitelist most sites for free. We do charge, however, a small fee for the bigger sites. Big is defined as a website that gets more than 10 million additional ad impressions from Adblock Plus users. So only these sites pay for our service, so we can provide them for the rest of them for free. And of course, all these sites then again make revenues from people with installed ad blockers. Yes, bad ads will always be blocked. So there is, especially in Germany, a common misconception that you can just hand out a suitcase of money and we will let through all your virus-infected ads, all your Flash players, and all this stuff. That's not the case. So at any given point, every user, everyone who is interested can look at the criteria and can also look at our whitelist and see which companies are on the whitelist and compare the banners and see they all fulfill these criteria. And of course, if you don't want to see any ad at all, if you don't want to see Google ad search ads, you can still opt out. It takes 2 clicks and you don't see anything at all. The numbers again prove us right and show that this is a very successful idea. Over 100 million users, so our users in total, minus under 10% that opt out, see only acceptable ads. So if you want to serve them ads, this is the only way to go. We have more than 700 big publishers working with us. Worldwide, over 40% of the Alexa Top 100 serve acceptable ads. 90% of the sites that are on our whitelist actually do get whitelisted for free. And this is, for me, one of the most important stats, less than 10% of our users opt out. So that means more than 90% of our users actively do want to take this compromise. They say, I don't want to see all these shitty ads, but I understand that there is an issue with ad blocking. So if a website serves me ads that are non-annoying, non-intrusive, that are like the good old ad banner just in the very top or the very bottom at the side without too much animation going on, then they can still see them and they're okay with it. Yeah, this is the criteria. This is a short overview. You can find all the details on our website, and I'm happily answering any question on that later. I don't think it makes sense to go through all that. Basically, on the right is the definition for an annoying ad. So even with acceptable ads, these are all blocked. Short summary, we really do think this is a new deal. We think this is the future of online advertising. Either online advertising finds a way to be liked again by users, and this is to become acceptable, or it's probably going to die, or it's surviving in some dodgy corners. Because if we look at our user base, these are mostly younger online users. They're very well educated, and most of all, they're quite tech savvy. They do not buy this analog model of you have to watch our ads to see our content. So if you want to reach them, you have to do it on their terms. Of course, acceptable ads is not the only way how to make money with content on the web, but we do think it's a good start, and it might be one option out of many. We do think that there should be way more options. I'm very happy to be on a panel with Blendle in a few minutes. We as Eyeo also work on another option to monetize content. We teamed up with Flatter, maybe some of you are familiar with that, for a zero-click version to monetize content without even thinking about paying. It's going to be an add-on in your browser. And yeah, I just wanted to mention this because it's a great new project, and it's probably going to be ready for launch early next year. This was a very fast summary about what we do, and now I'm looking forward to discuss very many other options on the panel. And of course, if you have any questions, just talk to me or find me online. Thank you very much.
Laura Dornheim, herzlichen Dank. Wenn du nochmal Platz nimmst. Okay. Next. Der Mann, ich mache jetzt einfach Deutsch, der Mann, der Adblockern den Kampf angesagt hat. Er war einer der ersten, die tatsächlich Schluss mit lustig gemacht haben und auf einer der größten Newsplattformen Deutschlands tatsächlich gesagt hat, hier ist Schluss mit Adblockern. Wenn ihr weiter unseren Content, unsere Inhalte sehen wollt, dann müsst ihr den ausknipsen. Mittlerweile gibt es sehr viele Leute und sehr viele Institutionen, die ihm gefolgt sind. Wir freuen uns sehr, dass er heute hier ist, Julian Reichelt von BILD Digital. Wie du möchtest, wenn du da möchtest. Ja, dann mach ich das.
Okay. Well, I'll also continue in English because I understand that then everyone in the room understands what I say. First of all, I love how you match, how you dress in accordance with your black blonde Twitter handle. That's brilliant.
So you do like something
about I do like, well, you know, I saw you and I found something I like about it, you know, right away. So that's the good news. The other good news is that with all your impressive numbers, none of the people that use your product are able to see our product anymore because we think it's dangerous. And I didn't really want to relate to what you said and stick to what we do. But one thing I have to say, as someone who has worked in very restrictive and non-free and hostile environments for quite a year, I have to say that I find it threatening and horrifying that one company wants to say in a media environment, no matter if it's editorial content or ads, in a media environment, what is acceptable. Claiming that word of what is acceptable to me is, you know, after having seen countries where one person or one organization or one party or one whatever gets to decide what's acceptable, to me is just a horrifying idea. So we do something that is a bit more liberal. You can just choose if you want to use it or not. It's called BILD Plus. It's our paid content model. It's hugely successful. We now have 340,000 paying subscribers. Also, thanks to you, it's not on there. We created a new paid content model, which is called BILD Smart, and you can actually pay for not seeing ads, and you will not see ads. So you basically compensate us for evading one of our business models that, by the way, you mentioned Netflix and other content providers pays for providing content. So fortunately, people are willing to pay for seeing our content and seeing our content in combination with ads. This model, we discussed it in the beginning, if we want to keep this model of BILD Plus content free, and we decided not to do it because we said, you know, if you pay for a newspaper, you will see ads, and after you've bought it, and that's a bit the problem with the ad blockers, after you've bought it, you know, you're free to cut out the ads. We don't care, but if you go into a newsstand and cut out the ads before you have bought it, you know, we intervene and we disagree, and that is pretty much the same on the digital side. So this kind of shows you how BILD Plus has grown and how we make money with journalism and content. We're again at 340,000 subscribers now, which makes us the although it's a bit, and I changed to German here, Äpfel mit Birnen vergleichen. I don't know if that exists in English. We are now with a sub-brand, so to say, of BILD Plus, the largest subscription newspaper in Germany. After us, it's the Süddeutsche Zeitung. Spiegel, I think, has something like 400,000 subscribers. That is that's our goal, to become the biggest subscriber-based media brand or news brand, so to say, in Germany. Here are some facts about where people buy us. 42% is on the desktop, 58% is mobile and in apps. And the one thing that is most encouraging to us has been from the beginning and still is that only 30% of our new subscriptions come through perks or lotteries or all kind of gimmicks, and 70% actually come through content. People who are willing to pay or to sign a subscription based on one story that they want to read. And this just gives you a short overview of what have been our most successful stories subscription-wise this year. I guess if you're familiar with the brand of BILD, you're not surprised. It shows pretty much all the kind of content that you would also find in the paper, from hard investigative news stories to general interest stories about Germany, to celebrity stories, to background of major news situation. We call that paid or plus in the news flow, as we had in the here in this city, the killing spree or terrorist attack or whatever you want to call it. And of course, you'll find the word sex in here, which, as we all know, sells. That is what we do. I'll keep it a bit more brief here. And we are very determined to protect not only the idea of people paying for journalism, but also the idea of journalism needing advertisement. And it's up to us to decide how that looks, and it's up to the client to how that looks, and not to third parties what is acceptable, to finance the people who are in the fields for us these very hours. We have a team in Iraq right now that costs us around, I don't know, 15,000 euro per week, and we think it's important for a society that news organizations, no matter if you like BILD or not, if you agree with our editorial viewpoints or not, that news organizations are able to finance this kind of journalism and pay for this kind of journalism and pay for this kind of content. And one pillar of paying for this is what the Adblock industry tries to destroy, and what is under assault from what we think is a corrupt model that is not based on acceptability, but basically on blackmailing. And we're gonna defend that line, and I'm very much looking forward to discussing that with you on stage. Thank you.
Danke, Julian. Und ja, das wird noch lustig. Ich möchte aber jetzt erstmal gleich weitermachen, und zwar ein Phänomen, das zu uns gekommen ist nach Deutschland. Lange Zeit hat dieses Unbundling irgendwie in der Medienlandschaft nicht stattgefunden. Ja, man wollte immer sofort die Subscriptions verkaufen. Ja, man will einfach gleich dem User nicht das Glas Milch, sondern eine ganze Kuh verkaufen. Und dann gab es irgendwann mal tatsächlich Leute, die haben sich Gedanken gemacht, Mensch, es müsste doch so eine Art iTunes geben, iTunes für Journalism. Und ein paar Jungs aus den Niederlanden haben sich dran gemacht und das entwickelt. Mittlerweile expandieren sie in die ganze Welt. Wir freuen uns, dass der Vertreter für Blendle Deutschland hier ist. Heißen Sie bitte ganz herzlich willkommen mit mir, Sebastiaan Lemmens. Wo ist er? Herr Sebastiaan.
This will again be in a presentation in English because my German is a bit rusty. I hope you don't mind. Let me put this one here. So, Blendle, I hope to explain a bit for those of you who don't know what we do. I guess there's still a few people here in Germany. Explain a bit what we are here for and what we are trying to achieve with this awesome product that we have. So with Blendle, it's a startup from the Netherlands. And basically, what we try to do is reinvent the way that people read and pay for journalism, for the great stories that are out there, but sometimes very hard to find. Because you all know this feeling that you're browsing on the internet and there's a lot of these clickbait stories that are super annoying. There's ads which are sometimes very intrusive, which you don't want to see. And once you got to the place where you find the great stories, there is a paywall. And maybe you don't have a subscription to that specific paywall, or you don't want to subscribe to that paywall because you don't want to have the cow, but you would just want to have the glass of milk. So it's hard. And what we try to do at Blendle is give a solution which is basically one platform. It's one app in which you have all these great publications, Spiegel, Süddeutsche, but also in the Netherlands and in the US, like New York Times, UK, Economist, etc., all in one place. And we try to make it first of all, very easy, very convenient to use the app, and secondly, very easy to pay, because of course in the end you have to pay. You pay per article, so only for what you actually read. And the third very, very important thing of our platform is that we help you find these gems, these very nice stories that are sometimes hidden away in the print or behind a paywall, by bringing a personalized, curated feed of content into your app every day or into your inbox via the newsletter that we send. So that's kind of the product, and we started 2.5 years ago in the Netherlands. It took off pretty quickly. Slightly more than a year ago, we also launched in Germany with all the great partners, all the great publishers, and in April of this year, we launched our beta in the US. Currently, actually in August, we reached quite a cool milestone of 1 million registered users. And we have this group of users have access to more than 200 publications, so German, Dutch, and US ones. And our biggest user group, age group that we have is 30 years old. So we really try to address a younger audience with the app that we've built. Also, coming back to this personalization, we have about 25 journalists and data scientists, machine learners, working together every day to bring the right story to the right person. So that means that on average, one could say that or a user reads about from 20 different sources, so 20 different publications. And this group of 25 journalists and data scientists, they compile a newsletter. This newsletter is a very important thing for us. It's sent to, it has a reach of about 600,000 monthly of our users and an open rate of between 30 and 40%. So it's very well received. And with this platform, we also have actually a quite unique and very interesting, I find it very intriguing view on what people like to read, what people are actually willing to pay for, and what people don't really like to read and might not want to pay for. So very popular things on our platform are actually like these life hacks, smarter living stories. It makes you feel better or feel smarter. We had a very popular article from Brigitte about kluge Leute trinken kein Cola, or about avocados, actually a pretty good research piece from Seit. And the interesting thing about this category is that these kind of articles are like massively available for free on the web. But still, people are willing to pay for it because they know it's quality, they know it's good. Also, what we see is that the users really want to read the investigative pieces. Some of these stories are like actually almost half books, right? It's like half an hour or an hour reading on investigation, or this like undercover story from Neon, super interesting on Russia Today. These are topics or categories of stories that really sell. Also, on the other hand, there's multiple ways how we can see what people don't want to read, which is also interesting. Maybe some of you might know this, but actually if you talk in terms of willingness to pay, we've built in a feature that allows the user to ask for their money back. So if you've read the story, you didn't like it, you can just refund it. And you get your whatever 30, 50, 40, 60 cents back. Now this gives us an interesting feedback loop from the user to us, but also to the publisher, because the publisher can see on a per article basis what the refund rate is and what the refund reasons are. And not only do we see that on an article basis, but also on a location basis. And this is maybe just an or interesting kind of funny metric. So on average, the refund rate is about 10%. But if you look into regions, it can be quite different. So on the more northwest Germany with Potsdam, Wuppertal, they don't refund a lot. Like it's far below average, like 4, 5, 6%. But then if you go more to the east or middle parts of Germany, the refund rate tends to be a bit higher. In Altenberg, a small place in Saxony, the refund rate is more than triple the average. So apparently there are a lot of people, or the willingness to pay is maybe viewed a bit differently over there. Yeah, so that being said, this is for us a super interesting, also very interesting time, a very interesting way to look at what happens to journalism and what people would want to read. So if you haven't signed up yet for Blendle, if you don't know us, just go to blendle.com. Sign up is super easy, just your email address, password, and there you go. You get €2.50 for free, and you can just try it, see how it works for you. Thanks.
Sebastiaan Lemmens, Dankeschön. We're going to talk a little bit later, but first, our final speaker for today. Ich mache einfach weiter in Deutsch. Ich glaube, so spät am Abend geht das schon. Wir haben ein Experiment mit euch vor. Und zwar haben wir uns gedacht, wen können wir denn einladen, der uns Geld verdienen auf einer ganz anderen, wie soll man sagen, Ebene verklickert, nämlich dort, wo es richtig gut läuft und wo man es ehrlich gesagt mit Journalismus noch nie so richtig in Zusammenhang gebracht hat. Und wenn es ein Thema gibt, was auch in den Media Agencies gerade wirklich super trendet, dann sind das Influencer. Influencer Marketing. Auf Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, you know, name it. Wir haben uns gedacht, vielleicht laden wir doch mal jemanden ein, der uns dieses Phänomen ein bisschen übersetzen kann und vielleicht sogar auf den Journalismus übertragen kann. Kann man mit Influencer-Marketing im Journalismus Geld verdienen? Wir freuen uns sehr, dass er hier ist. Francis Trapp, er ist Founder und CEO von Brandnew.
Danke. Ist noch an? Ja. Ja, ich finde es irgendwie angenehmer, ein bisschen freier zu stehen und zu reden, als jetzt da hinter dem Pult. I'm language confused today. Should we have that in English or German? May we do
Italian.
No, I can't do that. I can try very bad French, but again, German, hands up. Okay, English. So I founded Brandnew beginning of 2013, so almost 4 years ago in my living room in Berlin. Very much bootstrapped and so on, and nowadays, after long 4 years, we position ourselves as a tech company, actually. For a long time, we have been having a business model where we were doing campaign-based agency kind of money-making, always with a tech platform underneath. But this year, we made the decision to actually say, no, we are a SaaS company, a software as a service company. We're selling our influencer marketing platform now. And we've done that since the 1st of June. What we're doing is we are connecting brands, which can be all these major consumer brands that you all know, like GoPro or Red Bull or Coca-Cola, as well as their representatives in forms of PR agencies, media agencies, social media agencies, and so on and so forth. And we connect these with influencers. For the last 4 years, we've been thinking about influencers always from a perspective that they have lots of reach on social media, and then you can of course segment these into, okay, you have long-tail influencers having less than 10,000 followers on Instagram, for example, or you can think about this huge mid-tier segment of 10,000 followers to 1.7 million, let's say, and then you have these Kim Kardashians and so on. being here today forced me to actually think about journalists as being influencers as well. It's going to be an interesting discussion later on, because I think in Germany, and that's probably a very German thing, journalists very often always try to keep their own opinion, or they try to be neutral and so on, which is a good thing, and which we should actually value in Germany. But as Richard is hosting the session about, okay, how can we make money in journalism as well? Let's look at how journalists can actually make money from influencer marketing as well. Having said initially that we are a tech company, this is some of our tech that we have built. What you can see here is what a typical brand or advertiser can see on our platform. I'm not going to go through all the details, but I want to highlight here on the left-hand side, for example, you see Catherine, one of our influencers on the platform, and we have built some proprietary tools, and we've bought lots of data as well to make these stats underneath available. And then on the right-hand side, you see stuff that advertisers can actually use. They can reach out to influencers, they can negotiate collaborations, campaigns, they can discuss how much money they should earn, what the people should be posting, and so on and so forth. On the right-hand side, you see campaign tracking stuff. So how does it translate to clicks, engagement, ROI, and so on and so forth. But how does it look like? This is an example. Tanya Burr, does anyone know Tanya Burr, YouTube star from the UK? Hands up? No? Okay. Should have taken a German example. So Tanya, maybe it's a good thing, because she made £12,000 with these 2 pictures on Instagram. Got this from L'Oreal. And this is how influencer marketing very often looks like. So all these followers follow her because of her content that she usually shares on YouTube and Instagram and so on. And then in between, she just makes these product posts. They're labeled as an ad, which you can see when you read the caption underneath. And yeah, this is a very typical example. But now let's think about what can that actually mean for journalism. You know this guy? So we used our platform and had a look at some of Richard's social media profiles. So there's a question mark for Snapchat. Richard, how many average views do you have per Snapchat story? Do you know? 2 to 3,000. Okay. All right. So this is what Richard has on social media. Our platform also told us the audience profile of Richard's social media channels and so on looks like this underneath. So that's very, very interesting for brands when they choose the right influencers, because they want to know who am I actually targeting and whom can I reach through these influencers. And when you look at these numbers and all these profiles, you can start thinking around, okay, what kind of brands are actually willing or could be interesting to work with Richard? And then you have these things. With how many do you work already? Samsung. Ooh, okay. Okay, so we broke it down into industries and so on, and there are some of our clients up there. And then you can see Richard driving his Volkswagen from Wolfsburg to the Medientage in Munich. He checks his Huawei watch and says, oh, I got another 15 minutes to my next panel. But I'm looking forward to taking a good night's sleep tonight in my Sofitel hotel room. And look at these new cool shoes I'm wearing here for the next panel. Shot with my Samsung smartphone, and I got these shoes from ASOS. These are all pictures and examples from campaigns that we've run in the last 4 years. And this is something that we do. So let's talk numbers. We've again looked at our platform and looked at all the data we have and so on. Before the question comes on Slido, yes, this presentation goes somewhere on some SlideShare website, whatever. Media Lab Bayern. There you go, Media Lab Bayern. So you can download it all there. And what you see here is a rough estimate of what Richard, for example, could make per single post. So we try to make it comparable. We know that every social network and every platform is different and so on. We've heard about that a lot today. And what goes into these these payouts per post, per social network is very often the reach, obviously. How complex is it to create the content? Is it just a quick Instagram post, or is it actually a story that Richard has to research and write an article to go on his blog? And also we see very clear differences among countries and regions. So, sorry. So in Germany, it's usually a smaller payout compared to the UK and the US. What we see in our data is that actually payouts in the UK are rising very, very sharply as well, everywhere in influencer marketing these days. But we are seeing areas where influencer marketing is getting more expensive in the UK than in the US right now as well. So that was my presentation. I'm Francis, my email address, our domain. So if you have any questions, let me know or put on Slido. Thanks. There's a question?
Du hast deinen Platz hier. Yes, Laura, Sebastian und Julian, bitte auf die Bühne.
You're gonna need a translator. Or we do it in English.
We can talk in English. We can, English, okay, right? Okay, so I have to renegotiate my salary for today. I tweeted like, I don't know, 10 times already. Anyways, so let's talk about money. Let's talk about what works, what doesn't work. I think, interestingly enough, like all people want to see a bitch fight between Laura and Julian. Yes. So there have been people online who were just saying, well, actually, it's kind of fair what you're doing, but Julian still remains, this is blackmailing what you're doing. So there are two positions online that I read on Twitter. One says, it is blackmailing. It is like, who are you to define what is good ad and what is a bad ad? And then there are people who just say, no, it actually sounds kind of fair. Julian, if you want to begin. So blackmailing, why? They have explained that they are working together with many companies, so they're not just one person who says this passes through and this gets into the trash.
Well, first, to working together with many companies, I think that's also a horrible sign of our profession, that you know, so many companies give into that, although they know that their revenues are.
But you're working with Facebook, you're working with Google, you're working.
Let me just at least finish my first sentence. So the big difference, well, there are many big differences with Facebook here. Facebook is just a great company. And Facebook is not blackmailing us. So I think most people are interested in the blackmailing aspect here. And to make this very clear, as someone who considers himself a very liberal person, I find that, you know, every person has the right to decide what to do on, obviously the right to do what to do on his own device. There's no question about that. I even understand that people find some sorts of ads annoying. I fully understand that. And I understand if they do something about that on their own device, they have every right to do that. And it's nothing I would ever try to intervene with. My problem is the so-called whitelisting, which is a blackmailing model. You know, it sounds nice, but it's basically you know, a guy walking into a Chicago bar and saying, you know, we can whitelist you and nothing will happen to your bar. And we're not going to let that happen to us.
Am I so scary?
Well, no, not you. You're by far the nicest person working for that operation. But you know, and we all know, if you don't intervene, the first time that happens, they will raise the price and they will change the conditions. And in the end, they're going to burn down your bar. And our bar, no one's going to burn down our bar. You know, I make that very clear, and we made that very clear by introducing no ad, no content. And no one who uses an ad blocker will see any of our great content. And what we are seeing is that when people have to decide between using an ad blocker and seeing our great content, they go for our great content. And I think that is very, very promising news. And I can only encourage everyone to follow that model, because everyone who believes that journalism can live without ad revenues, just as everyone who believes that journalism can live without, paying for great content in any model. I love the Blendle model. I think they're doing a great job promoting content. In my opinion, is wrong and will go down with this point of view.
Just a very really quick soundbite. Your comment on that the Süddeutsche Zeitung now follows your lead.
I love it. I love it. Is that short enough?
We love it. Thanks. Laura, we have a question from the auditorium. Isn't it hypocritical for Adblock Plus to sell ads?
We don't sell ads. We never sold ads, and we never will sell ads. We are a service that allows other people who sell ads to put them in certain places where people with ad blockers can see them. May I also respond to some of Julian's comments?
The fight is on.
No, I don't want to fight. Like I said before, we really try to establish a compromise, a middle ground. And I like black, but I'm by no means into blackmailing. None in our company are. Because nobody's forced. You just said it. Everybody is allowed to do on their own machine what they want. And that's what our users do. So if you have 130 people opting for one option, that reminds me far more to any democratic sign than the comparison that you like to make of a dictator who censors stuff. So we put a tool there, and there's people using it. So nobody is forced to do anything. Like I said, we don't sell ads, and I don't think there's any hypocrisy in there, because we're very open, very transparent about what we do, how we do it, and that we try to find some acceptable middle ground. And I think really, if you look at it a little without too much emotion, you see that we just want to add to the landscape of different models to pay for content.
Okay. It's not a model to pay for content. And one thing that I think is very important here is just people downloading something, an app, for example, is not a mandate. It's not a mandate. It's not a majority. It's not a mandate to say what is acceptable in our kind of free society and free environments. And that's the misinterpretation that you fall for. That you think that people downloading stuff is a mandate to do something to others and to dictate terms to others. And it's just not. And again, that is why we are so heavily opposed to it, and always will be.
Francis would like to join the party.
Yes, thanks. Well, I got no stake in this. I'm just watching it from the sideline, and maybe I can throw in my 5 cents. But in general, I'm a quite liberal person, and I think in our world, everyone can install any ad blocker and so on, whatever they want. And I think the people participating in this ecosystem or in this world, they should try and find ways of how can they still make money. Because also when you watch all these riots going on against Uber and Airbnb and so on, what we can see is actually there's a wide adoption and people actually wanting to use an Uber ride or who want to live in an Airbnb. Why should it be forbidden across the globe and so on? I mean, I can understand that it's hard to find an apartment in Berlin, and it's bad when all the places are rented out via Airbnb and so on. But I think then the legislation has the job to find somewhat a way to find the right balance. And coming back to your situation, I would say, well, ad blocking is great. I haven't installed it myself. It's great for those who want to do it. I'm a bit worried about, well, I want to see what's going on in the industry. I want to see new ad formats and so on, but that's maybe my professional background. And I think it's an interesting thing to keep pushing the industry to come up with actually interesting ad formats that are more engaging and so on. And then also hopefully BILD Plus will benefit from higher payouts and so on and so forth.
Ich möchte Sebastiaan noch mit ins Boot holen. What's intriguing for me is that you are making money with installing an ad blocker. You're making money with blocking the ad blocker. And we have another example who actually, built something alternative, something that like people like to use. So how do you comment on what's going on here?
Yeah, I think it's exactly how you phrase it. I mean, on a personal level, I also have an ad blocker because I sometimes find them annoying. But actually, from the more Blendle perspective, I'm kind of indifferent because for me the outcome of the discussion is much more interesting, which means that publishers are now thinking of also other ways to monetize their content, and BILD is doing this already for quite a while. And that's what makes it interesting, because that's what makes the people realize that stuff is not for free. I mean, it looks sometimes as if stuff is for free, but it actually isn't. So if we get to a place where the willingness to pay increases because there's a number of initiatives that is driving this, that for me is a successful outcome of actually this discussion.
We have a question for you, Sebastiaan. People want to know, like, the revenue that you're actually making, has that any significance for the publishers, what they're making with Blendle? Because you don't talk about numbers yet, you're just giving like percentages or something, but you never ever tell us what people actually make with your Blendle system.
So I think in what we see in Germany, revenue for a publisher is still low. I mean, we just started here. We need more time to grow our audience. But I think in the Netherlands, we already see that the contribution that we have is becoming quite significant. But that being said, I don't believe that this is the only solution, right? This is part of a puzzle in which there's multiple revenue streams that a publisher will tap into from different types of users who want to spend their money in a certain way.
So you're not saying that, you know, like this will one day will finance the whole industry,
No, of course,
but it's just one
always,
pillar of many.
Exactly, because you will always have subscribers who want their Süddeutsche or their BILD or in print or in digital. And there will always be people who don't want to pay for anything. They install an ad blocker or just read the agency stuff. But there is a massive crowd in the middle that is willing to pay for it, but doesn't necessarily want that subscription of that specific newspaper. And that's where we see ourselves.
Francis, a question about me and our little. You sold me, right? I mean,
I get this very often. People saying, "I want to change my job."
I feel so.
Or be an influencer.
Yes. Would I not lose credibility if I'd work with all those companies? Me being a journalist, like my core value is actually that I'm not for sale. So do I not kill myself and my product by taking that money?
Interestingly, this question is a question I'm getting almost every time. Interestingly, every influencer is also very much concerned about their audience and about their credibility. So it's you being a journalist, but it's also Tanja Böhr being the YouTube star, because she's all for fame and winning more channel subscribers and so on. And they're all very afraid of, hey, if I make this post of this Coca-Cola can at the next European football tournament, then I might lose followers. So what we always tell brands is that the best way a collaboration works is when the sponsored content is clearly marked as sponsored, first of all, but then also when the sponsored content seamlessly fits into the normal content that the influencer usually shares. And when there's actually a story and it all fits together and so on, then it's influencer marketing that works well for the advertiser who pays for it, but also for the influencer.
Julian, would that be an interesting kind of a model for BILD? I mean, you have influencers, you are an influencer already, so is there something that you could actually see that you could turn into money?
Well, we are discussing a deal where I would promote ad blockers on Twitter, but I would sell that for a lot of money. I think there is no way for me. Well, first of all, I have like 20,000 followers on Twitter. Someone showed me very depressing statistics that most of them are bots. So I don't think I would be very attractive myself, and I think it's something journalists in general, at least when they cover certain things, should stay out of it. It's not something I'm looking at for myself. We are looking at it as a possible business model. In fact, I'm having an influencer dinner a week from now, meeting some of the people maybe you represent or who are in the same industry, because it's fascinating to us, from obviously an advertising standpoint, but for me as a journalist, I find it way more fascinating to see that one person may have more reach, or in many cases has more reach than a brand like BILD that sends out 500 reporters every day. That is fascinating. That is also obviously troubling, but I don't think it makes sense just to be troubled and stare at it. We have to engage it and try to learn from it and see what we can get out of it. And I personally find it a fascinating question, and I don't really have an answer to it. I lean towards no. If one of our reporters, Paul, for example, who Paul Ronsheimer, who covers a lot of crisis and all that, could wear a North Face jacket. North Face is, I think, very much in line with what he does.
The camera brand that he uses.
Exactly. So I find that a fascinating question. I find it fascinating to look at possible scenarios, how that could corrupt our profession, but also how it could benefit our profession. So intellectually, I find that a very interesting discussion. Just to go back to something that Francis said about our profession being kind of forced to look at new ad formats, I think, and I would warn you, that you are looking at that from a very comfortable perspective now, where you're not being attacked and assaulted by the ad blockers the way we are now. From everything we see, and obviously we're tracking you quite closely, they're looking at native ads, they're looking at influencer models, they are looking at every ad model out there. So and they're going after. There's a reason why Facebook is so concerned about them. Which directly leads us to Instagram, which raises a question: if one day your sun lotion influencer girl may be blacked out by Laura's little app, and I don't know if you would like that, and then still say that's great. Now we can come up with more creative ways of advertising. You would probably be very troubled, and that's how we feel. And I just warn you, they will not stop where they are right now.
I just have a quick response, because yes, we're looking at these formats, but we're actually looking at them in a good way, because we're not blocking we don't have any intention to ever block native advertising, because we think it can provide great content. And if I follow somebody on Instagram, why on earth would I want to block them, even if they have some sunscreen and lotion?
Why would you judge if something's great or not, and then block it or not?
I just provide a tool. I just provide a tool, and if you want to block something, you do it or not. And
well, it's not that granular in your app.
Francis, to bring you back into the game, we have a great influencer in Germany who is called Oliver Kahn. And Oliver Kahn runs a big ad campaign now for an ad blocker. Do you think that actually matches like his like personality? Is that a smart move? I mean, blocking ads like as a goalkeeper?
Well, seeing it's kind of funny, right? The Titan, and he does the job for you, and so on and so forth. So yeah, I think it suits him if he can make some money of it, and he likes it. And when I see it as a consumer, I think it's funny.
As long as he fumbles the ball in the right moment, just as he did in the World Cup final, I'm fine with that.
Oh, you are? So he doesn't have Hausverbot at Springer?
No, we love him. He has the same birthday as I have.
Oh, he does? Okay, well, that's fine. Let's see what we still have into our audience questions here. We had that. Julian, wie problematisch ist es für euch, dass Focus.de die Plus-Inhalte kopiert und frei zugänglich macht?
It's it's pretty much the same answer as to Laura. It's threatening, and the threat here is not the copyright intrusion and the stealing. The threat here is that they try, and I don't want to be too heavy on crime here, but I always compare that to organized crime. So what they do is they turn a declared business model that we have into another business model that they have by stealing our stuff. you know, we are not with our best stories, with our prime stories. We are not after reach, because we believe that reach will not be able to pay for our industry, or you know, as the only factor, pay for our industry. We need to pay people paying for journalism. But that is why we limit reach through a paywall and try to compensate for that by people paying for our content. Focus then takes that stuff and turns it, by, you know, literally stealing it one-on-one, and turning it into a reach model. And, you know, they make money by destroying our model and turning it into something else in a very conceptual, very organized way. And the truth is, it's our money. You know, everything they make on BILD Plus stories that they steal, that money belongs to us and not to them.
Okay, but you don't want people to block your content, but you also don't want that people refer to your content.
Oh, no,
How much money do you actually pay to Google that they drive content to your page, traffic to your page?
How much money we pay to Google?
Yes.
I'm not aware we're paying money to Google. And the great thing about BILD is we do not depend on Google. You know, we have almost...
What's the percentage?
We have 70% direct entry traffic.
And how much is Google?
It's around 12.
12%.
Compared to 70, which is like a almost globally unique number, because it's a very strong brand. And we love people referring to our to BILD content. That is why we're the most quoted newspaper in Germany and the most quoted media organization, actually. We love people referring to our content. But, you know, everyone who's in journalism knows that there's a difference between quoting the Washington Post and copying their story. And everyone who's in journalism very much knows when he crosses that line. And, you know, amateurs maybe do not know it, but, you know, people at Focus are not amateurs. They're professionals at doing that deliberately to make money off our content. And, you know, I will... The problem is so far you know, we judges said, you know, if you, it's a weird legal situation. If you throw in one more sentence or twist a sentence a bit, it's your own creative work. Now, so judges find people at Focus very creative. I find them very greedy when it comes to my content, and I don't like that.
Okay. We have one great question here from Anonymous. What elements of the Washington Post's monetization model do you think can be transferred to the German market? Maybe even, Sebastiaan, you're also working with data analysts. So what do you think, where still money pots like hidden that we have not yet really taken out of the ground? Have you been around with Beth Dier's presentation?
I just got in like 5 minutes after. So
okay, so maybe unfair. But let me rephrase my question. Sure. Do you see that if people start to buy like unbundled content, that they are more likely to buy like the bundle, the subscription? Is that like the entry to like a longer subscription?
Yes, and I think it's more about educating is the wrong word, but surfacing the right stories to the right people, and then showing them that sometimes these brands, which probably most people know but they don't read, are actually providing very, very good content. So it is kind of a stepping stone, if you will, from trying to discover that brand to falling in love with the brand and eventually subscribing to the brand if you want to. So that it is a possibility, and for us, I think now it's mostly on the micropayments, so on the per articles, but of course the subscription is then the next step.
Okay, so with, ich switche wieder ins Deutsche, mit Blick auf die Uhr. Wir haben nämlich noch etwas aufzulösen hier, nämlich wie unser Cooking Viral Hit heute hier eingeschlagen hat. Ich weiß nicht genau, ist sie denn schon wieder da, Madeleine? Ja, ihr seid da. Ich würde einfach sagen, bleibt ihr einfach sitzen, wenn das okay ist. Madeleine, komm doch einfach mit nach vorne und bring Maureen vielleicht noch mit. Ja, komm. Okay. Wir schauen jetzt einfach mal, wir haben heute gekocht, ja, hier live on stage, ja, und wir wollten schauen, ob das viral läuft, ja. Und du warst noch nicht da, aber BILD, ne, wieder an vorderster Front, hier mit BILD futtern. Und wir gucken uns jetzt einfach mal an. Wir haben hier auf der Bühne gekocht und wir wollen jetzt schauen, was aus dem Video, was wir heute hier auf den Medientagen gedreht haben, geworden ist.
Habt ihr was mit Hack gekocht?
Ja, nee, und auch nicht mit Käse, oder? Doch mit Käse. Nee, noch nicht einmal mit Käse, weil Käse klickt. Ja, wir haben den Käsekuchen, nee, Quatsch, nicht den Hackkuchen haben wir gesehen.
Hack mit Käse überbacken, das ist das Beste.
Spaghetti Bolognese Kuchen. Wir sind gespannt, hacken uns jetzt gerade noch mal bei Facebook ein und schauen, was aus dem Video geworden ist. Kurzen Moment noch. In der Zwischenzeit darf ich noch einmal die Gelegenheit nutzen, denjenigen zu danken, dem ganzen Team, von dem ich jetzt niemanden mehr sehe, aber sie arbeiten irgendwo hinter den Kulissen. Danke auch Tobias Helminger, vielen Dank, Dankeschön. Und hier auch in der Technik. Wir wollen jetzt also ganz zum Schluss sehen, was aus unserem kleinen Experiment geworden ist. Und ich bin sehr, sehr gespannt, ob wir das jetzt gleich... Ja, ich sehe es schon. Achtung. Da ist es. Bild, futtern. Das ist der Clip, den ihr hier gedreht habt. Okay. Also ihr müsst euch jetzt Fahrstuhlmusik vorstellen. Ah, da kommt sie.
Also schön jetzt, ne? Also los.
Ja, kleinen Applaus vielleicht für diesen... Ja, Madeleine, lass uns sehen, wie ist das gelaufen heute hier?
Also wie wir sehen können, seit 2 Stunden ist es online, 130.000 Aufrufe, ist auf jeden Fall ein gutes Ergebnis, würde ich sagen.
Okay.
Die Interaktionen sind klasse, 1600 Reactions, 1100 Mal geteilt. Ich würde sagen, das ist eine gute Sache, trotz Hacklosigkeit.
Trotz Hacklosigkeit, auch kein Käse, der normalerweise klickt. Ist das jetzt tatsächlich, also so ein Gericht, das war, wie lange, ihr habt jetzt wirklich netto daran gefilmt?
Der Dreh hat, glaube ich, 1 Stunde gedauert ungefähr. Dann habe ich nochmal 1 Stunde lang geschnitten und dann ist es direkt hochgegangen. Okay,
2 Stunden. Das wird jetzt also auf BILD.de veröffentlicht, läuft auf Facebook. Und das macht euch auch gar nichts, vielleicht Julian, dass das sozusagen auf beiden Plattformen läuft. Ne? Das killt euch keinen Traffic?
Nein, im Gegenteil. Also eine Sache, ich weiß nicht, ob ihr da vorhin schon drüber geredet habt, die an Futtern vielleicht interessant ist. Futtern war unser erster Versuch, ein Bild-Facebook-Vertical zu starten, was nicht mehr klar Bild gebrandet ist. Also wenn man sich das Futtern-Logo anguckt, dann sieht man als Profi vielleicht noch, dass es Bild ist. Irgendwo wird auch auf Bild verlinkt, wenn man auf die Rezepte klickt, aber das Bild steht nicht mehr im Vordergrund. Warum? Weil wir gucken wollten, wie in gewissen Zielgruppen, ist ja nicht so, dass wir nicht wissen, dass wir eine kontroverse Marke sind, sehen wollten, wie gewisse Inhalte geteilt werden, wenn nicht mehr als allererstes Bild im Vordergrund steht. Und Madeleine hat mich damals davon überzeugt, das zu machen, nachdem ich gesagt habe, wer will denn sich Leute Videos über Hackfleisch angucken? Und sie war da aber sehr beharrlich und das Ergebnis ist, dass erstens dieser Kanal super funktioniert. Der macht inzwischen, glaube ich, 12-14% unserer Gesamtvideoreichweite auf Facebook aus, was eine spektakuläre Zahl ist. Und zweitens hat es uns auch wahnsinnig viel darüber gelehrt, wie wir Inhalte so verpacken können, dass wir neue Zielgruppen eben erreichen, indem wir andere Marken in den Vordergrund stellen, niemals die Marke Bild verleugnen, aber sie halt nicht als allererstes in den Vordergrund stellen, sondern etwas subtiler präsentieren. Und da ist Futtern wirklich ein Beispiel. Wie gesagt, wir sind, glaube ich, bei 160, 170 Millionen Video-Views auf Facebook und 12-14% kommen allein über Madeleines Hackoffensive, Entschuldigung.
Womit bewiesen wäre, dass das Internet noch nicht durchgespielt ist, dass der Journalismus noch nicht durchgespielt ist. Ich hoffe, dass wir heute allen, die seit heute Morgen dabei gewesen sind, auf Twitter, Facebook oder sonst wo, zumindest irgendwie so ein paar Ideen und Inspirationen mit nach Hause nehmen. Ich bedanke mich noch einmal an das gesamte Panel, an Madeleine und alle, die heute hier mitgewirkt haben. Vielen Dank, dass ihr Teil dieses Tages hier New Publishing auf den Medientagen wart. Herzlichen Dank fürs Kommen. Danke euch fürs Kommen. Vielen Dank. Alle unsere Speaker, die Keynotes, die Slides, soweit wir sie bekommen, findet ihr auf der Seite vom Media Lab. Schaut in den nächsten Tagen auf die Facebook-Seite, folgt uns auf Twitter. Herzlichen Dank fürs Kommen und euch noch allen viel, viel Spaß auf den Medientagen 2016. Vielen Dank.